Hi everybody, I'm Player 2 Jade, and this is... nope, I have to start over now because it fell off mid-sentence. I'm just gonna... Okay. What's up guys, this is Player 2 Jade, and this is Affairs of the Court Choice of Romance. It's a new game, it just came out, the 23rd, and it's an interactive novel where you get to decide the outcome of history. It takes place in different, areas and historic places. I haven't played it yet. This is my first time playing it, so you're coming with me on a new adventure. I will be reading it out loud. If you don't want to hear my voice, or you just want to see what the game's about, just mute me or something. I don't know. I don't care. Okay, ready? I will be reading this. Warning, last warnings. Okay? Okay. That was the chair. A high-pitched shriek splits the sweltering summer air. Help! Oh, help! Help! Your youngest sister, Clara, skids to a stop in front of you. Francisco and I were playing in the barn, she sobs. He was showing me spells, and he set the hay on fire, and now... A breath of wind springs up, and the acrid scent of smoke reaches your nostrils. The barn is some ways away from your parents' villa and the vineyards. There's that. But it is full of hay for feeding horses, and hay catches fire so fast it would be so easy for the wooden barn to burn to the ground. The smell of smoke grows stronger the closer you get. By the time you reach your barnyard, your throat and eyes are stinging. You can't see flames from the yard, but as soon as you approach the door, you can feel their heat. Out of the corner of your eye, you see the grooms running towards you. Then you reach the barn door and look inside. Your 7-year-old brother Francisco, face white with terror, is backed up against the barn's far wall, surrounded by leaping flames. What are you going to do? I don't know. There's nothing I can do. I rush into the barn and grab Francisco. I shout to the grooms to bring buckets of water. The best way to save Francisco is to put out the fire. Like Francisco, I know some magic. Maybe there's a way to use magic to get him out. Skip ahead to part 2. Ahead to part 3. Definitely not gonna pick the first one. I kinda wanna just rush in and grab the brother, but at the same time, it would be a good idea to put out the fire. But magic. Ooh, I wanna know magic so bad. I've always wanted to know magic. I'm gonna know magic. I know magic. Your family, like most noble families of Iberia, has magical talent. Unfortunately, you are a death mage. Oh, fuckity-doo-da-day. Death magic is very useful in combat, but it tends towards firebolts and so forth. In other words, it's better at starting fires than putting them out. Francisco almost certainly started this one with a firebolt gone wrong. But then an idea occurs to you. You run around to the back of the barn and, summoning all your concentration, throw a firebolt at the back of it. A hole explodes in the wood. You run towards the hole, and it is like rubbing towards an oven. The fire within is hotter and higher every second, but you've provided Francisco with an escape route, and he stumbles towards it just as you get there. You grab him and pull him to safety. The grooms have arrived by them, and you hear the groom shouting orders at the other two. They start carrying water from the well nearby to put out the fire. Ayy! You hear shouting. It seems that Clara succeeded in waking the household, and here they all are. Your mother and father and siblings and most of the servants. What the fuck is a servant? Your father takes charge of the situation, and under his management, the fire is quickly put out. Your mother cries, alternately praising you for your clever use of magic and berating Francisco for stupidity. When the excitement is over, your entire family returns to the house. You walk through the vineyards, through the courtyard, and towards your family's somewhat shabby villa. The villa is old and well constructed, but not as well kept as it might be. Underneath the trellis of bright flowers, for instance, the lintel could use a painting. But the family simply does not have the money to keep up appearances, as they should be kept. Your great-grandfather was a conde, and your great-aunt a condesa. But you have a second cousin, or something, who is now a condesa. But your father is only an hidalgo, a younger member of the noble house. He has the title don. He has the title don for courtesy, and he has a fine house in the country. But he doesn't have anything else. Not much money and no power. Just the house and the family name. And so you don't have anything else either, as you approach your 16th birthday, when you finally come of age. Far away in the capital city of Orovilla, things are happening, where there are life mages and death mages study to advance their arts. their art. There, young men and women enjoy masks and balls and hunts and jousts. Their wise and devious advisers lurk at the edges of the monarch's glittering court. Perhaps it is not quite true that nothing ever happens here. Now that something has, are you feeling glad that life here is usually calm and kind of dull? I'm not going to go with yes because I don't like calm and dull. I'm going to go with no, not at all. I'd like more excitement on a fairly regular basis because, to be fair, I just wanted to know magic a little bit ago, so you kind of know where we're going with this. Let's go for the crazy, over-the-top Mary Sue kind of life. Oh, I rather suspect more excitement is waiting in your future. Oh, before we go any farther, you are your parents' eldest child. Are you an eldest daughter or an eldest son? I kind of want to go for son, because I've always kind of wanted to be a male protagonist, but I also want to be a daughter, because that way I can have more influence over male monarchs. I'm gonna go with a daughter, because if you know magic and you're a girl, you can seduce the king, change the course of history for the better, and you're Gucci. On the other hand, no, yeah, because it's harder to seduce females because females are generally already lined up to be married. Unless it's a widow. But then if it's a widow, you can become her handmaiden and influence her that way. That's some sneaky shit right there. I'm gonna go with the daughter. What is your given name? Ah, fuck. Anna, Catalina, Isabel, Maria, Violeta, something else. I'm gonna go with Violeta because I dyed my hair violet today, so... And yes, I did dye my hair today. It's purple and glorious and beautiful, and I love it. Doña Violeta. Oh. De Peña de Castillo de Flores de Rivera. Violeta de Flores, because why not? Mary Sue it up. Yep. Lady Violet of Flowers. And what sorts of things are you good at, Doña Violeta? Like all young people of your class, you've been well trained in the social graces. You can dance, make polite conversation, play a little music, and ride in a hunt. And you at least have a basic understanding of magic. The ancient noble houses of Iberia are all mage houses. Members of a life mage family are born with the ability to make plants grow, to heal the sick and injured. Man, why couldn't I be a life mage instead of a death mage? To calm those who are agitated. Members of a death mage family are born with the ability to throw firebolts at enemies in combat, to kindle flame and heat metal. But like anything else, much study and practice is required if the mage wishes to excel. You know at least a little magic. Whether or not you studied it is seriously up to you. Tell us about yourself, Doña Violeta. What sort of person are you? Where did you spend your spare hours studying when you were younger? Ooh, let's see this. I spent every moment of my free time in the library. I'm well read in history, literature, mathematics, and foreign languages. Okay, all of that is true except the math part. I fucking hate math. Zero fucking patience for math. But I know like 5 languages, and I love history and literature. But I studied majory with my father every moment I could spare. I'm unusually skilled at my age. That's a pretty Mary Sue thing. I learned how to read the people around me and how to get what I wanted from them with minimal possible effort. Ooh, that's good if you want to be some sneaky shit, though. Studying, I did as little of that as possible. I spent most of my free time daydreaming. I am quite lovely to look at, though, and also a very graceful dancer, and very charming when entertaining guests. Everyone says so. Okay, so you need to be well read in order to alter the course of history for the better. However, if you're really good at majory, oh, well, I guess that's not that important. Especially because you're a death mage. You can't, like, bring back to life some dead-ass king. On the other hand, getting people to do what you want is some sneaky shit. But foreign languages help with negotiation and diplomacy. And that is sneaky shit right there. And if you know history, clearly you would know not to repeat it. If you know literature, you probably speak very eloquently. And apparently you know mathematics, so, you know, it's Gucci. You can be your own accountant. Your mother calls you the family scholar with considerable pride. Considerable pride. What would you say is your second most notable quality? Ah, okay, so you get to pick more than one. I studied majory with my father. He says I've mastered the basic spells very well. Shortly we will start working on the more complex ones. I have learned to read people around me and how to get what I wanted from them with minimal possible effort. Okay, now here's where the second skill comes in. I want to be really good at majoring, but getting what you want is also important. I'll go with getting what you want. Some very wise of you. Some would call that manipulation, but manipulation is such a horrid word, isn't it? Simply easier to get what you want if you're more careful than if you make a great fuss. Tell us what you're good at, but you can't be perfect. What would you say your greatness weakness is? I only have the barest scraping of magical talent. I can handle the very basics, but not any more than that. I'm not terribly good looking and socially somewhat awkward despite my upbringing. I'm not what you would call charming. Ooh, see, if you want to change history, you gotta be at least a little charming. So, I hate to say it, but I'm gonna have to go with sucking at magic. Let's suck at magic. That's not really important, is it? You are about to enter the house. Bright purple butterfly flits right across your path. Red and blue and yellow ones are common, but purple ones. Hey, my hair's purple! Purple ones are rare. They bring good luck, so the saying goes. And since it crossed your path, it can only be good luck for you. The butterfly will go and grant you a wish if you wish quickly. So what are you wishing for? A windfall! Enough money to go to court and enjoy the season. No, that's just ridiculous. The chance to do something splendid, something that will change the world. Okay. An adventure! Anything to enliven dull life in the country. Maybe one that is less destructive than the fire barn. True love. Isn't that what everyone wishes for, really? Fuck love. Fuck the windfall. Let's do something splendid and change the world. I hope the butterfly grants you your wish. The next few days meander past. Nothing of note occurs except for the arrival of your Uncle Pedro and your Aunt Leonor. I actually have an Aunt Leonor, but she's really my. Wait. She's my mom's aunt. So she's my great aunt? I think that's how it works. I mean, in Mexico, we don't say it like that. She's just my aunt. She's just my tia. Yeah. And then, like, the actual Spanish word would be like, 'cause you don't say tatara tia, like, great aunt. You would say, like, tia abuela, like, aunt, grandmother thing. I don't know. Point is, she's my aunt. I have an Aunt Leonor. They show up for your coming of age ball. Your uncle is in fact financing the ball with money gained from a recent successful campaign abroad. Or you wouldn't be having one at all. Your parents certainly could never afford it. Finally, your birthday arrives. Downstairs, your mother and father await the guests, speaking with your aunt and uncle. Up in your pleasant but plainly furnished bedroom, your 14-year-old sister Magdalena is helping you dress for the party. Chattering without pause for breath, Magdalena finishes tying all your laces. There! Now you can look. You turn to look at yourself in the glass. A very fine mirror indeed, one of the few remnants from your family's former glory. You look splendid, Magdalena declares, and indeed you are quite pleased with what you see reflected. The rich color of your gown complements your. Would you like to specify the color of your hair? There's no purple. So lame. I'm gonna have to go with black because my hair was black before I dyed it. What color are your eyes? Ah, fuck, man. Blue, green, gray, hazel, brown, black, no preference. Have to go with green because that's. Yeah, nothing but normal bullshit. I'm gonna go with green. I'm gonna go with green because black and green is a less common. Yeah, that's pretty Mary Sue, and we're going as Mary Sue as possible. Remember that, folks. You look at yourself in the mirror, admiring your new gown. It is made of silk in a rich purple shade. It's purple! In a shade that allows your thick black hair to be shown to best advantage, and edged with ribbon and lace that perfectly set off your green eyes. Your mother has loaned you her wedding jewels, and they wink around your throat and in your hair. You feel like you have suddenly changed into someone completely different. Magdalena claps her hands in delight. Come on, Violetta, I can hear guests arriving. It's time to go downstairs. I love purple so much. I dyed my hair purple. I have a dragon with a purple jewel in it. They have purple hand soap. I also wear a lot of black, so and that's a win. Is a win. You stand with your mother and father, receiving guests and graciously accepting their best wishes. The guests are mostly families from nearby estates, plus a few of your friends' parents from farther away. Everyone looks most splendid, dressed in formal coats and beautiful gowns in a rainbow of colors. Everyone has a smile for you. Some of the adults look at you appraisingly, only to be expected as you are now considered of marriageable age. Many of the youngsters your age try to flirt. You flirt black. Oh god, no. You flirt back, but only a little, since your mother and Aunt Lenore are standing by. Oh, by the way, are you flirting with the young men or the young women? Why not both? That's not an option, no. It's either young men or young women. Yeah. That's a little too overpowered, apparently, if you can be bisexual. But you know what? I think we kind of have to go with young men, simply for the sake of the time period, the fictional time period, and the fact that you can then seduce people into marrying you. Yeah, you don't. I, I mean, we'll always come back to this, of course. There, you can always play it for yourself, make different choices. But I'm gonna go with young men because as much fun as it would be to be a lesbian, I gotta go with what's gonna let me change the most history. And I think that one will let me seduce men, but still be a handmaiden and have all the power. Kind of like being bisexual, but not. There are many handsome young men to flirt with. You stand in the receiving line for what seems to be hours. Behind you, the guests circulate and talk. Snippets of gossip drift to your ears. Oh my god, did you hear about Don Alonso's youngest? Foolish girl. She turned down a most advantageous proposal last year. And it was her third season at court. What does she think to do now? She can't possibly afford to offer a proper blarg. She can't possibly offer a proposal to anyone. Her parents cannot afford to set her up in her own household. It is the way of things. One either courts or is courted. A youngster of 16 or so is courted, generally by a well-established adult of 25 or 30. Ew. I mean, I'm all for like a good age gap, but maybe chill a little with that until they're 18. Of course, that's, my Eurocentric American viewpoint. Don't take anything I say with credit. Among the nobility, an eldest child is likely to have his or own household and seek to bring a husband or wife into it. Younger children are courted by others. There are exceptions, of course. Wealthy parents may be able to provide all their children with sufficient inheritance to set up households. And poverty-stricken families, like yours, ow, burn, cannot even do it for their eldest. I heard that she turned down that proposal because she had hopes of Doña Beatriz offering for her. Foolish indeed. Doña Beatriz has no money to support a wife. Oh, so lesbianism isn't that bad in this game. Okay, I see how it is, game. I see how it is. Trying to upset my historical knowledge. Foolish indeed. Doña Beatriz has no money to support a wife. I said that already. I heard that Beatriz's sister, Eugenia, is having a love affair with Don Carlos de Vargas. Ooh, scandalous. With Don Carlos? But he is a life mage, and she a death mage. Oh, I see where the racism comes from. It's all about that magic, isn't it? Racist. How shocking. That too is the way of the world. There are death mage families and life mage families. One tends to marry within one set. Except for the king, of course. King Augustine, like all the monarchs of Iberia, has married across mage lines. He is a death mage, and his queen consort is a life mage. That means their children are more likely to be life mages, and so a life mage will succeed a death mage to the throne. That has always been the way of things. Of course, it is only the way of things if the king and queen consort succeed in producing an heir. You know what? I've heard of that a lot. Having a queen consort. That's a lot more interesting than having just a straight up queen. Because the queen consort can actually be removed and replaced if she fails to do her duties. And that's really interesting because then you can literally work your way from being just a straight up, what is essentially a glorified, go their entire life only seeing the king at their deathbed. If that. Yeah. Or seeing the king from far away. Like, yeah, you married, but maybe you ain't even gonna get touched. And then there are the ones above them who basically act like they're supervisors, and then the ones above those who are like kind of like advisors to the king. And then a step above those who are like their trusted advisors, and then finally you get to like the queen consort, who is like the here all be all end all bitch. And then usually they have like a favorite consort, who is like second in line to be queen consort. It's real interesting, really really interesting. Anyway, I heard that their majesties have lost another unborn child. You hear another thread of gossip start. How dreadful. It is dreadful. Their majesties have only one child, and she is a death mage. She cannot succeed to the throne. Hola, hola, hola. Why? Racist. Heard that the king has commanded young Tomas de Reyes to be brought to court. Aunt Leonor clears her throat and changes the subject, reminding the speaker that there are youngsters listening. At last, your duties in the receiving end line end. Now what? I shall go and dance. I see a group gossiping in the corner. I should go see if I can hear more about this Tomas de Reyes. There's another group who appear to be discussing magic and other studies. I shall join them, and I would rather do that than dance or gossip. Ooh, okay. Dancing doesn't matter. On the other hand, you have to be sociable. But we did say it was one of our biggest. See, because if we learn about Tomas de Reyes, I want to know, can men get pregnant in this story? Because if men can get pregnant, fuck that, I'm gonna be a male gigolo. On the other hand, magic and studies. But we want to change the world. So I'm gonna have to go with the gossip because maybe, just maybe, I can insert myself into the king. Or the other way. You know what I mean. You don't know him? Maybe he wants to get pegged. If you don't know what pegged is, don't look it up. I didn't say shit. You didn't hear it from me. Your parents cannot blame me. Disclaimer, this is sex talk. You didn't even know that, but whatever. You've only taken the first step when your uncle's voice booms out, calling for everyone's attention. God fucking damn it, uncle. I wish to propose a toast, he says, in honor of my niece's birthday. There's a smattering of applause, and goblets are raised. And I wish to make an announcement, Uncle Pedro continues. He pauses to be sure he has the attention of the entire room, and then says, I have been so fortunate as to receive the favor of our most gracious king. In recognition of my service abroad, he has awarded me with a suite of rooms in the palace and given me permission to bring my niece Violetta to court when the season starts in the autumn. Violetta, you shall have a proper season after all. We going to court! I imagine a season's worth of gowns, he adds, the following morning over breakfast when it's just the family again. Not more than that, and you won't be able to return next year if you don't manage to find a spouse this year, but 4 months ought to be enough. Oh, I see how it is, taking the girl off to get married like a cow or something. But see, if men can get pregnant, then why can't the women wear trousers? Wait, that's a different subject. I am very grateful to you, uncle, you say. Only doing my best for the family, he replies, somewhat pompously. Okay, attitude. And giving you the opportunity to do your best in return. In turn, depending on whose eyes you catch, you may be able to secure me a spot of influence and commensurate with our family's honor, if not its recent fortunes. Even if you can't do that, says your father, a match with a suitor means can improve our family's fortunes and secure your own comfort, says your mother. Then after you are married, you can chaperone me when it is my turn to be presented at court, says Magdalena. I'm sorry, I changed the voice there halfway through. I just realized who was talking. I was confused, so I had to give her a slightly higher pitched voice. What about you? What are you hoping to get out of this? Security. I want a good marriage with someone wealthy so I don't have to worry about money any longer. I don't know about that. She's only 16. Fun. I'll never have any here in the country. This is my only chance. I don't know about that either. That's just not me. Also, I don't think Mary Sue's care about that. No. Okay. True love. Surely among all those courtiers there's someone destined for me, just like in a fairy tale. Okay, that's kind of Mary Sue-ish. It's very Mary Sue-ish. But our Mary Sue wants to change the world and everyone loves her already. So I feel like she thinks that she's entitled to it, so she don't gotta hope for it. The chance to influence important decisions. That's the one. Adventure. Nothing ever happens here, but things happen there. And I don't want to go, actually. No, we do want to go. Mostly just so we can become, like, the mastermind behind the world and, like, change things for the better. Fairly said. In any case, you are off to the capital with your uncle and aunt as soon as your clothing can be made. We didn't even get to learn about Tomas. Damn. From that point on, time seems to move faster than it has ever before. 2 months are scarcely enough time to put together the wardrobe you will require as a young lady of the court. Gowns, shoes, scarves, hose, and garters. Oh, I think they mean pantyhose, not like a hose. Hose. Cause I was just thinking, like, why the fuck do you need a hose? Like, what kinky shit are you into? Enema time with a garden hose. Boop! My bunghole! Oh. And wet. And moist. Moist. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more hours of moist. Moist. Hey, Alicia. It's not rape if I yell surprise. Surprise. Oh, okay. Where was I? And bejeweled trinkets. Almost before you know it, the day of your departure is at hand, and you find yourself jolting over the roads with Uncle Pedro and Aunt Leonor and Magdalena. Hey, good on the little sister. For Magdalena is accompanying you. She's too young to be presented at court, of course, but your mother and Aunt Leonor thought it would be well for you to have a companion. And well, for Magdalena to get an idea of how the court functions. You wouldn't have thought it would be much fun to be dragged along to the capital and once there spend most of your time under Aunt Leonor's supervision and none at all enjoying court functions. But Magdalena seems delighted. She chatters excitedly the whole journey, hardly even stopping for breath. How are you feeling about having her along? Pleased. I will not know anyone at court after all. It will be good to have someone I can talk to. Annoyed. I have plans, dammit, and I worry that Magdalena's presence will make them harder to execute. Indifferent. We'll go with pleased because she's your little sister. It's good to have the family in the house. Without her, you might be totally alone. At least you will have someone to share your thoughts with. At any rate, the four of you arrive at the capital before you have gone completely deaf from Magdalena's chatter, swallow some supper, and fall into bed. I'm getting winded here. Early in the morning of your first day at the court, your aunt takes you to their Majesties' private rooms, where all the ladies and gentlemen in waiting are assembled. A servant opens the door at your aunt's knock, and the first thing you see is a tall, middle-aged man addressing the assembly of ladies and gentlemen in waiting. He turns and regards you and Aunt Leonor with raised eyebrows. Aunt Leonor curtsies. Don Benedicto, she says, may I present my niece, Violeta de Flores? Oh, Don Benedicto says, yes, of course, thank you, Doña Leonor. Your aunt curtsies again and leaves. Don Benedicto looks at you in a manner more appraising than friendly. We are rehearsing a mask to be performed before the court this evening. It is somewhat late to be adding another part. Perhaps it would be best if you took a seat and observed. Okay, but Don Benedicto, says a young woman, Doña Teresa is feeling ill. Why could I not take her part and and Doña Violeta take mine? I'm only being rescued, she adds, turning to you. It would not be difficult to learn at all. That proves to be an understatement. You soon discover that the role assigned to you consists of waiting atop a tower while a battle rages beneath you. Eventually, the hero of the mask will fight his way to you and release you from imprisonment. Boring. Still, despite the small and boring nature of your part, you have to admit that the mask being rehearsed is very impressive indeed. You've seen them before, of course, even staged some small ones with your siblings, but the scale of this is immense in comparison. A mask is an after-dinner entertainment in which ladies and gentlemen disguise their identities and play assigned roles. In this case, the story is of a mage, Perseverance, who uses his magic to dispatch many evil creatures: greed, pride, gluttony, and so forth, with the aid of helpful sprites like purity, devotion, and endurance. Oh, I get it. 7 deadly sins versus the 7 virtues. Yada, yada, yada. At the end, Perseverance reaches true love, virtue, and rescues Virtue from imprisonment. You think it is likely that the young woman who used to be playing Virtue considered it a significant advancement to take the part of Devotion instead. Devotion has many lines and participates in a dance of all the helpful sprites. You watch rehearsal atop your tower, admiring the construction of the tower and the care that has been put into the costumes. If this is an everyday entertainment, your time at court will be dazzling indeed. Fuckity doo day. At last, Perseverance succeeds in reaching you, and you rehearse the rescue. Perseverance is a nice looking young man, although young is perhaps not quite the right word, you realize suddenly. He is older than most of the ladies and gentlemen in waiting assembled here, in his mid-20s at least. As you climb down from the tower, your gown catches. You quickly pull it free, thankful it did not tear. We will have to be careful not to do that tonight, you said to Perseverance, trying to make conversation. Oh, it will not be we tonight, you look at him in confusion. The king is taking the part of Perseverance tonight, Don Benedicto says. Except you, of course, must not recognize him. I must not? I can't imagine what that means. A young man playing Perseverance explains. The king will come in disguise to play the part of Perseverance. We are all to behave as though we cannot tell he is in disguise. The king does this on occasion so that he can be certain his writing and dancing and magic is admired for its own sake, not merely out of deference to his title. You try to make sense to this. So we are to admire the performance of the one playing Perseverance, and then feign surprise when he removes his masks? Exactly. This is unusual behavior, to say the least. What do you say? But the king must know his courtiers recognize him. You're having a jest with me because I am new to court, are you not? Very well. Let's just go with very well. We're not going to question this too much. You know, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, at least we don't say, oh, I believed you. Yeah. Just very well, not going to rock the boat too much. Perseverance smiles at you and turn back to the tower. As you turn back to the tower. Very wise, he says. It is a somewhat ridiculous game we all play, but it is best not to say it out loud. By the way, I ought to have introduced myself. Gabriel de Mendoza, at your service. Don Benedicto curtly orders the rehearsal to resume, and it does. You return to your room with time to change before the evening meal. You look at your wardrobe and consider the choices before you. You have been assigned a part that stands passively while others in the court draw attention to yourself. Is that good enough for you, or are you going to do something different? I shall play the role as I was instructed, and gain approval by acting properly and modestly. I shall play the role as I was instructed, but there's no reason to fade into the background. I shall dress in such a way that attention is drawn to me instead of the combatants. Once the mask has begun, they cannot very well stop me from changing the role into something more to my liking. I shall seize this opportunity to show all the court what I am capable of. Okay. I'm thinking if she dresses a little flashy, people will be like, that's distracted. But then if she changes the thing mid play, no one else is going to know what to say. But then if she fades into the background, she's never going to get noticed. So the safest bet would be to dress a little more flashy. Make sure people see the beauteous. I mean, he's rescuing his true love. Why can't she be beautiful? And that way you don't, like, fuck up the whole play for everyone else in it and get in trouble. A clever compromise position. You select the most form-fitting of your gowns, one that emphasizes all that is praiseworthy about your figure. At your throat, you knot a scarf the color of your green eyes. You are most pleased by the effect you observe in the mirror. Your aunt looks at your choice of attire with some disapproval, but does not actually rebuke you. You walk down the great hall between her and your uncles. Okay, why is the aunt mad? You would think she wants you to get all the attention because she wants you to get married. I mean, I guess. She's just jelly. Maybe. You sit at a table in the great hall with other young ladies and gentlemen in waiting, most of whose names you don't know yet, and enjoy a most delicious meal. Between courses you look around. At the high table sit King Augustine and his consort Inez. The queen consort is a life mage from the formidable family de Aguilar. At the king's other side is Luis de Vega, foremost advisor of the court. At the queen consort's other side sits Princess Juanita, the only living child of the king and his queen consort. Fortunately for all, she is a death mage like the king, and therefore cannot inherit the throne. But you notice that the eyes of both the king and queen consort go often to a lower table, where sits a small boy whose resemblance to the king is unmistakable. This must be Tomas de Reyes, whom you have learned is the king's illegitimate life mage child. His illegitimacy makes it difficult for him to inherit, but it is noteworthy that the king sent for him to live at court after the stillbirth of his most recent royal child. Between a death mage daughter and an illegitimate life mage son, the succession is a thorny issue. The king sends a dish down to Tomas de Reyes' table, and the queen consort's lips tighten a little. Ooh, king be doing some sneaky shit. I need some water when I do this from now on. You know what? I think I'm gonna end it here. At least this episode. Alright, thank you so much. Please like, comment, subscribe. Links are in the description if you liked it. Like it. If you don't, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, okay, yeah, fuck off. What she said. Bye! Now I'm gonna get some water and then keep recording. Here you go. But that way I have a stopping point in the stream. No one's watching anyway. Like, real life. What's up, guys? This is Player 2 Jade, and this is Affairs of the Court Choice of Romance, Part 2. I'm actually just recording exactly where I left off from the last episode, except, I went and got some water. Not that you care. Okay, I know, you don't care. Whatever. Always hurting my damn feelings. Anyway, let's begin. At last, the final course is cleared, and it is time to change for the performance. As you leave the great hall with other young ladies and gentlemen in waiting, you see the Vega making a big production of seeking the king's attention. Your pardon, your majesty, but there is a matter of some urgencies. The king rises. All of the ladies and gentlemen in waiting stop. The king waves a hand. Go on with the performance, and for the entertainment of the queen consort and the court. We will return when we are able. The queen consort's smile seemed somewhat fixed. You don your mask and take the opportunity to remove the scarf knotted around your throat. You tug at the neck of your gown and display as much décolletage as possible, and you loosen your hair as well, allowing it to swirl over your shoulders. You take your place atop the tower and strike a pose. Damn, she's showing them titties. Perseverance and his companions enter. Perseverance is so obviously the king, you cannot see how anyone could ever pretend to be fooled. The king, as Perseverance, uses a light wooden practice sword to vanquish sloth and gluttony. He strikes actual blows rather than merely touching his opponents, but at least the blows don't seem very hard. They probably only sting. He switches to magic to fight greed and wrath, using the wand presented to him by Fortitude, and likewise casts very small lightning bolts that only seem to sting. None of his opponents even touch him with weapons and magics. They only faint in the air around him. Those playing aids rather than opponents lavish far more attention upon him than upon Perseverance's companions.